So I think other members will be here sooner or later. But let me first, Dr. Joe, can you
Yes.
give the question to Dr. Stanislav Ivanov, Professor?
Oh, yes. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is
my pleasure.
Yuan. Yes, I'm a research professor of Gyeonggi University, and I'm working with Professor Gu. Yes, and
My pleasure. Nice to see you.
yes, yes. So let's just start for the first question. So first question is, what are the potential advantages and disadvantages for travel industry as disruptive technologies such as the internet, smartphone, and ChatGPT continue to emerge from outside the industry? So how do you foresee these technologies affecting the tourism sector?
Yeah, ChatGPT is part of a bigger group of technologies, which is generative AI. This is artificial intelligence that generates content. And from this definition, you can figure out what are the actual implications. It creates content. It means that it can create content for the marketing activities of a company. It can create, for example, ideas for a job description. It can create, let's say, a description of a hotel. But if we talk about text, but it can also create photos that will look quite realistic, although they will not be real photos. Also, I tried ChatGPT, and it practically analyzed the content of a review quite well. And this was, by the way, published in an article which we published in Bukhari's journal in Tourism Review. What we explained, what we did with my co-author Ines Carvalho is that we had a review by a customer for a hotel. We put it in ChatGPT, and we asked ChatGPT to evaluate, to identify what are the strengths and weaknesses of the hotel based on this review, and he did marvelously. It was quite good. Also, this technology can be integrated into chatbots, and then it will provide smoother communication. Now, chatbots are largely algorithm-based, while when you integrate these large language models within chatbots, they are able to communicate in a more natural language. So once you write something, what you want, it will be able to deliver without many questions to be asked. So it will have more human-like behavior.
Yes.
So practically, this ChatGPT and generative AI is contributing heavily to intelligent automation, automation of cognitive tasks.
Okay,
Yeah,
Dr. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Borlis, thank you for attending this the discussion, and thank you very much for your contribution all the time for me and for South Korea. As you know, the ChatGPT is a huge impact to society and business and academia in the world. But as your career, I saw your paper and I saw your books since 2012. There was the time peak as smartphone apps. And however, your book's e-tourism is about 1995 after internet era. So we have 40 decades. One is internet, another is a smartphone apps, and now is robotics and ChatGPT with AI. So what do you think about this disruptive technology and innovation for our society and future and academia?
Thank you, Chulmo. First of all, apologies. We may be on the artificial intelligence era, but the human cannot connect with Zoom in time. So apologies for that.
That's okay.
So look, I'm an old guy. I've seen it all. You know, I'm now writing something that's about 70 years of technological engagement and involvement. We are at the crossroads. Everything we knew up to now is changing. And why is it changing? Because for the first time, machine thinks and machine decides. So far, machine was helping human to think and decide. Now machine thinks and machine decides. So we are going to a very different era. Which, if I'm perfectly honest, I'm a little bit scared of. Because it is equally promising, but it's equally threatening. In the sense that when a machine decides, and if the machine has got all the knowledge of the world, then we're going to the stupidization of human. In fact, it's happening already. If you like me to drive from my home to my office, I used to be able to do it with maps and things like that. Now I totally rely on GPS, and the GPS is so much better than human because it knows all the alternatives, has real-time information, and has got even information about how much petrol do I spend and what is more environmentally friendly. So, you know, I've seen it all. I think this is a bigger thing than the internet development. I remember in '95, I was finishing my PhD, as you said, and I was writing about technology, and I was describing this black box that's going to do interconnectivity and everything else. And all of a sudden, all of these things happen, and the internet changed the course of action. And we had 30 years of doing this. Now, this is going to change dramatically because what the internet has done, it has pointed you to the right direction. So you're going to Google, and Google says the information you're looking for is on this website. And then you interact with this website. We are getting to a situation now where ChatGPT and all this artificial intelligence will predictively understand what you need before you know it. So in a way, like the supermarkets in the past, if you were start buying nappies for babies, they knew that you had a baby at home, and then immediately they were changing everything.
Yes.
Now it will be predictive and reactive technologies that they'll be understanding what you need before you understand it.
Yes.
And then it's going to talk to other systems that belong to different organizations. And then it will create solutions for you before you realize that you need them. Now, this is fantastic when it works in your favor and when it works for your own interests. But when it works for the interest of others, it can be quite dangerous. I'll give you an example. Do you get the best prices, or do they understand because you're a university professor and you're better off than a lot of other people, that you get a personalized price and you never see the cheap prices? You see only the expensive prices because it's according to what you can afford. Okay. So we are going to situations where we'll have incredible tools, which can be very, very useful. The question, of course, is who controls the tools and for what purpose?
Yes, in terms of you said prediction and also the preference of personal preference, and the suggestion by or recommendation by the ChatGPT. You know what? Let me ask you this one. You know, back to the age, the internet. After internet, the Netscape browser is depicted by the Explorer, and Explorer certainly depicted by the Google Chrome, and then Yahoo search engine is gone away due to the Google, and now it's just 5 months is ChatGPT emerged, and we never know which company is going to be win. But anyway, it's very fun to the situation to expectation. What do you think about that kind of the war between the very big, great giant the company like Google, Microsoft, and Tesla, whatever.
Look, I don't care at the end.
I don't care. Yeah.
20 years ago, nobody have heard about Google.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 year ago, nobody has heard about ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
I think what people care about is who is providing the value.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the dominance of Google in the last 10 years has been so important.
Mm-hmm.
The dominance of Booking.com has been so important. The dominance of Amazon has been so important.
Mm-hmm.
And why are these companies dominant?
Mm.
There's only one reason why these companies are dominant. And why nobody was using Bing, for example. Because Google was giving you a better value and a better user experience and was better.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen is that whoever gives better value is going to dominate, is going to take over, it's going to develop. But we are getting to a situation now that the value may be created by machines, not by companies.
Okay.
And it's now getting to a situation where it may be a network of companies who are doing things. We're going to a very different environment. And, I'm trying to train my brain not to think like what we used to know a few years back, because in reality, what's going to happen is that if Stan is a clever boy and he writes an incredibly clever software and dominates the market, and ChatGPT has put Google into shame, and nobody thought ever that this is going to happen. Okay, but if you're old enough, you remember a lot of companies that you used to work with or to support that disappeared almost. As you know, I used to be a photographer, so Kodak, Agfa, Fujifilms, all these guys have disappeared, right? So technology is not different in a sense. Whoever adds you value, they're going to go forward. The question is, who are the people that are going to give you value? And the question is, what do we need? And I think because this is a research seminar, I think the most important thing is, what do we need to write? What do we need to think? What do we need to educate our students to look at in order to be able to be successful in the future and actually create benefits for the society? Not necessarily for someone's pocket, but benefits for the society. And how do we need to bring regulation, and how do we need to bring a legal framework that allows good things to happen, and then but also enable the protection of different citizens. So last week I was I'll finish with that. Last week I was in Italy, as you know, and they banned ChatGPT. They said, no, we're not going to use it.
Oh,
right
really?
now, yeah. So Italy's banning. Right now, I'm in Portugal, and I'm with Carlos, and I was playing with his son, who is 4.5 years old, and reminds me of ChatGPT. Because last time I was playing with his son, he was 1 year old, and 1 year old is like ChatGPT now was not very clever. Now, 4 years later, is super clever.
Yes. Okay. Dmitry, you mentioned the value, and let me ask you this, Stan. That since 2012, as about 10 years ago, the smartphone as a go spread, and because of a smartphone, TripAdvisor apps is become so popular, and then TripAdvisor providing very good value, travelers value, and everybody rushing to the TripAdvisor to get the knowledge of prior experience knowledge, and then they booked the hotel and the other service the providing by the TripAdvisor. And now is again 10 years later, ChatGPT is giving us the very good variable information. So what do you think the prediction between this ChatGPT and TripAdvisor? They are complementary or they are trade-off?
Yeah, I personally think that these ChatGPT and large language models, they are not competing with the other technologies because they are more general technologies, and they will be more or less integrated into the other applications because they can enhance the other applications. They can boost boost their productivity and their and improve the customer's experience that use these applications. For example, as I mentioned earlier, you could integrate large language models into chatbots, or you can have, or you can connect them. You can connect them to the internet so that they can have more up-to-date information. So practically, we are not going to have how to say or this or the other application. We will have more or less integration of these large language models into different applications, probably also including TripAdvisor. But not only that, in TripAdvisor, in Booking.com, in many other apps, in order to provide a smoother communication, better value, as Dimitrios mentioned, for the customers. And practically, the companies that integrate these large language models, they will provide better service, better value to their customers, and they will have better. They will be more competitive compared to the others that do not use them.
You know, the interesting thing is TripAdvisor adopt Google Translator, and then they providing the language translation service to the person who are not native language or the foreign language. So Google Translator is a bit different from the ChatGPT. Comparing those two companies' translation skills, and then I think ChatGPT is more user-friendly and human-like conversation rather than Google Translator. Probably, I think that TripAdvisor will adopt ChatGPT just like what they adopted Google Translator. Probably they're competing those two companies at the same time. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway.
Ulmo, what you see is not what you get. So what you see now is what you see now. What you see in 3 months will be a very different thing.
Okay.
Because now what we've seen is ChatGPT is doing generative text.
Yes.
But there are other things that are doing generative image. There are other things that they're doing generative translation. There are other things that they... Now, how long do you think it's before all of these things happen to the new Google?
Yes.
Which is a totally ball game that you wouldn't know whether right now it's the real Bukhalis or the Bukhalis IE talking about it. In fact, right now, there are 3 profiles on Instagram that they use my name and my own pictures.
Okay.
We already have a fake situation because we are targeted by crooks. Now, in about 3 months, 6 months, all of these things are about to go out of control when you are combining different functions with different AI agents that they also start fighting with each other.
Okay.
So what you're describing currently, it's okay for the next 3 months. But I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the next 3 years. After 3 years, I'm really scared to predict what's going to happen after 3 years.
Yes.
But for the next 3 years, I can see all this generative thing bringing the thing to a different level.
Yes.
And that different level drives things that we've never experienced before.
Yes.
Now, I'm an old man to remember when the fax was introduced and what it did. And I remember when the internet came along and how many people went out of job because of the internet and how distribution changed. But also I can tell you that up to that point, the big tour operators or the big airlines had a very dominant position in the marketplace, and a lot of other people were really in a really difficult situation. Travel agents also had a very different experience over the years.
Yes.
So I think what we should spend our brain trying to predict and create is how do you, because the time is not going to go back. So AI is not going to disappear, right? The generative thing is going to be very generative, and my students will use it to write essays no matter what.
Yes.
Whether the university says, okay. So you cannot go back to reality.
Yes.
To the previous reality. So what we need to do is to focus on how we can go to a better reality in the new environment. The problem with most of the people is that they don't understand what the new environment is.
Yes.
And they are kind of having a big argument about, it gave me a wrong answer. Carlos' son, 3 years ago, was giving me a lot of wrong answers.
Okay.
Yesterday, I was teaching him to say goodnight in Greek. And he learned it in about 3 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. So what is happening is that we are going to a new reality.
Okay.
And that new reality will be very exciting. It will be very dangerous.
Yes.
And I think us as the thinkers and the shapers, if you like, we really need to start looking to how can we use AI constructively? How can I use AI to have a better diagnosis in this remote Greek island somewhere that they haven't seen a decent doctor for many, many years? How can I get the local Korean farmer learn how to do their job better, easier, and be more productive? How can we get a bit of this intermediation so they don't buy the product from a farmer for, I don't know, $1 and they sell it for 10? All of these things that are happening. Okay. So that is our role. Our role is to understand what's happening.
Okay.
And I think we really need to look far. It's like driving on the motorway. You don't see what's happening in the next 200 meters, but you really want to know what's happening in the next 10 kilometers. So you can have predictive action. And we are at that situation where whenever I read anything about AI now, I'm laughing because people cannot see in front of their nose.
Okay. Right.
And it's really looking very far away.
Okay.
And we've published already a few papers.
Okay.
Stan has published a paper in my journal as well, which is very good, it's very recommended. And now I'm creating a team of people around the world where we are developing the next big ideas about where this thing is going to go. And don't forget that it's not human and AI. It's not human versus AI and AI versus human, but also it will be AI versus AI.
Okay. Right. Okay. Anyway, let's move to the second question. Dr. Joe, can you read the second question?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I was nice to meet you again, Professor Wally.
Hello.
Yes. Next question. Yes. So So both of you said that like everything has two sides, like a two sides of a coin, negative part and positive parts. So I would like to more focus on negative aspect. So given that ChatGPT relies on data scraping and may sometimes generate inaccurate and false content, and how important is human expertise in fact checking and adding original details. And as far as I know, Professor Gu is very interested in the hallucination effect. So yes, and and afterwards, Professor Gu, could you please explain more about this question? And
Yes,
yes.
Everybody now understand what the hallucination meaning and they imply for. As you know, one of the hottest keyword in ChatGPT is hallucination. Actually, hallucination is a religious keyword. Religious keyword, something believe God, the God, something religiously, pray for the God, something exist in the heaven or whatever. And that hallucination keywords comes to ChatGPT. And the things not exist, but ChatGPT providing information just like a real or just like exist. Today, I ask you, ChatGPT, do you know Cholmo Ku? And can you explain who he is? And the ChatGPT providing the wrong information and totally wrong in my appellation. But what if the beginners or just the general people believe that information provided by ChatGPT? That would be, not this case is not big problem, but sometimes healthcare or travel choice or whatever. So it's not yet perfect AI system, but I want to hear from your opinion and thought about hallucination at this moment in tourism industry and sectors. What do you think, Stan?
Thank you. Interesting question. I can only say that actually Dimitrios covered that part, that question when he said that ChatGPT was previously like a 1-year-old boy, but by the end of the year, it will be like a 4-year-old boy, and probably in 2 years, it will be like an adult. So it is normal to have hallucination, because hallucination practically means generating content that is not correct, although it looks convincingly good. But if we see, there are also many academic articles which are, I would say, like hallucination, and because they have wrong analysis, wrong citations, and many other things. So humans are also quite good in generating incorrect content. What to say about AI? Also, the AI is trained for creating content and not to fact check whether this is true or not. But I'm pretty sure that within the next, I'm not sure whether this will be within the next month, but within the next years, it will be able to check to verify the content, whether it is correct or not. So probably at one point it will be the new digital police. Whether this is creating problems for the tourism industry, it all depends on whether you trust the content and what do you use it for. If you want to make a booking via ChatGPT, definitely it cannot do it. If you want that it explains you about what happens within the destinations, it will not do this because the data is old. But if you ask more general things about what you can do in the destination, it will also provide something more general as activities. It will not be specific enough. we are still, ChatGPT is still not at the level where it can be your travel agent, but if integrated into applications, it can support that function quite well. So hallucination is a temporary thing. We will pass this probably quite quickly.
Okay.
Not sure how quickly, but definitely this is going to decrease. By the way, every time you ask ChatGPT about something, you can vote whether this was with a thumb up or thumb down. So this is, you practically provide feedback to the algorithm, and if it was wrong, you can provide, you can explain, so that next time it will be able to provide a little bit more correct information. Probably not exactly full factual answer, but at least it will be much better than the previous one.
Okay, Dmitry, I want to hear from your insightful comment about this keyword, especially tourism.
Well, I've said that already. And by the way, let me say that I need to disappear in 8 minutes because they are collecting me and I've got to be somewhere else by 9 o'clock sharp here. Sorry, apologies about that. So I think I've said the analogy with the kid, and the kid is going to grow up very quickly. The kid is going to go to kindergarten, meet a lot of other kids, and a lot of things are going to happen as a result of that. And I think we should not be looking into that with the glasses from the past, but we should be looking like that with the, what you call it, the binoculars for the future. And I think it's really, really critical that we look into what do we think that this thing is going to do, and how is this thing going to respond to the challenges in the future, and what do we need to do in order that to happen in a better possible way. Okay, so let's use this 8 minutes for me, and then you can have Stan to finish off the thing. Apologies again.
Okay. Let me quickly ask the AI translation function is very fantastic. Since the emergence of ChatGPT, like me, second language speaker, is very much comfortable to make conversation with ChatGPT, and I'm confident to go out with the ChatGPT. Travel industry always people comment a lot when they come to South Korea. There's a language barrier all the time, so it's hard for them to look around or whatever. But now, probably because of ChatGPT, is going to be big benefit for Korean tourism, business and community. What do you think about that case?
This is very interesting. Look, you speak English with a Korean accent, and you are thinking you have got a Korean brain that is actually driving your behavior and driving what you're thinking with your desires. I speak English with a Greek accent, and I've got a Greek brain that, okay, for 33 years has been all over the world, but ultimately it's a Greek DNA that's driving this. Now, ChatGPT or AI, generative AI, will be speaking in the perfect accent, not British, not American, but according to the local thing. So if we both go to Bulgaria, generative technology will not be speaking English with a Greek or a Korean accent, but will speak Bulgarian with a perfect Bulgarian accent.
Yes.
So what's going to happen is that it's going to be globalization on steroids, but it's also going to be an understanding of what people, what's the context and what's going on. Having said that, those of us who have worked in the tourism industry for many years, we know that a good receptionist or a good barman or a good tour guide knows better what you need without speaking a word of Korean, while they see you and they immediately understand what you need. But there are very few of these people. If you come to my hotel, you come in immediately. I can tell you whether you need the double whiskey or you need massage. I can tell you. Don't ask me to justify it, but I can tell it's experience. It's a good eye. It's I've been doing this for a long time. And then what's happening is that the conversation between me and the customer immediately takes you to where you like to go. Now, when you have a very stupid system like ChatGPT pretending to be very clever, the conversation, because it is very stupid pretending to be very clever, right?
Right. Just a hallucination, something like that.
Yeah. So what can happen is that the whole conversation can be crazy. It's like now where you're using bots and say, if you want English, press 3. If you want that, press 2. And after a while, please give me a human I can speak to. Okay. So I think what's going to happen is that the systems will become much more clever. But I think one thing that they cannot be clever about, they'll pretend that they are, but they will not be, is emotional intelligence, and will be that kind of conversation and that kind of level of interaction, human interaction, that you see someone and you immediately say, oh my God, this person needs right now that. And I'm perfectly capable of actually delivering this because now I understand the situation and I take control of the situation. This is not something that AI can do, or at least I cannot see it doing very quickly. So anything that needs emotional connection, emotional intelligence, a human touch, you know, and say, okay, Chulmo, let's go for a drink. This is something that hopefully it's not gonna do. Although Stan may argue that robots will become so clever that they'll go with you for a drink. But to be perfectly honest, guys, I'll rather go for a drink with you rather than with a robot anytime, okay? And even the robot may be more intelligent than you and can be much more politically correct and all the rest of it. I would rather go with you, not with a robot.
But sometimes vice versa. I would like to go with a robot rather than people. People, you know, sometimes are bothering or hate each other or politically in a conflict. But the robot is always the talk friendly and nicely, gracefully, and gently.
You are wrong. The robot is programmed to be like that. If you program the robot to be aggressive, jealous, the robot can be that. So the robot will be whatever the robot has been programmed. So if Mr. Biden is programming a robot, it will be very different than Mr. What was the previous president? Okay. So you can imagine that all of these things are depending on who is on the controls.
Yes.
My car can be very nice when I'm in a good mood and very bad when I'm in a bad mood. Who is on the controls?
Before you leave, Dimitri, this is a very important question for industry, tourism industry. I want to hear from you. You know, we have old-fashioned technologies such as CRS or PMS, sort of things. Actually, that database connecting to the, you know, like apps. So we can purchase many, you know, tourism items through the apps or Skyscanner or Touring Advisor or other, you know, sort of things. What do you think about how we connecting the ChatGPT with all the technology?
Look, I've been looking into CRS, GDS, and all the rest of it for many, many years. And I think what's happening in the industry is we have got legacy systems, and a lot of the industry people have failed to update to the new realities and understand what the new realities are. And I think that is a very dangerous situation. If you don't understand what's going on, you'll become like Kodak. You'll be extinct. And other people will come in and they'll be much more up to date, and they'll get you into different places and all the rest of it. Booking, how old is Booking? 10, 15 years old? 10, 15 years old didn't exist. 10, 15 years old, a lot of other agencies were taking all this business. So we really, we really need to look into how can we use this technology in the future and how can we make all these technologies attract. No question, a lot of the industry is going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And a lot of new industry is going to appear.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is to be with the right side of the history.
Okay.
Because if you're on the wrong side of the history, you'll disappear.
Okay.
So it's really important that we train our students and also those colleagues who I work very closely with industry, that they say, Professor, where do you think we should be going?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people who are going to go forward. Those people who are not able to follow the developments,
Mm-hmm.
They'll die.
Okay, right. Mm-hmm. So
I'm really sorry, I need to disappear.
sure.
Thank you very much.
You disappear. Please replace your position by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very
bye-bye.
much.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll give the honorarium half.
Yeah. And give the other half to Stan because he's doing a double job. Okay.
Okay, I see. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stan.
So next time we need an avatar of Dimitrios
Yes.
to be trained so he can incorporate ChatGPT in this avatar, and
Yes.
we put his publications
Yes.
in ChatGPT to train his avatar, so
Yes.
that we ask the avatar and he
Yes.
answers.
That's correct. You know what? That yesterday, a couple of days ago, the Facebook I sharing the robot with the ChatGPT and then speaking the English, French, German language, or whatever in English accent, American accent is really impactful how the robot can combine with the ChatGPT. So
yes,
you're the expert of this field. What do you think about that?
Yes, it's possible to do it. Well, I can show you my robot.
What?
Yeah,
It's
it's
scary.
Yeah, it's turned off now. It's sleeping.
It's sleeping.
But programming is not that difficult. So I use the program by the supplier, but I use the graphical design. Honestly, I don't know yet how I can incorporate ChatGPT into the whole program, because I don't see how it can be connected. But definitely there's a way. Probably I will learn it one day. But I don't see a problem. What is technically possible will be done. That's for sure. And as Dimitrios mentioned, we should not talk about the future with the terms of the past, because ChatGPT is the present, robots are the present, but integration of technology, this is something that is already happening for many years. And definitely this merger is inevitable and not something that will not going to happen. It's inevitable. And robots will be able to communicate in a more human way. And this will, by the way, probably improve the human-robot interaction, because with this robot here, the interaction is quite limited, whatever you program it to do. And programming takes a lot of time. So for example, to make one, let's say, video of 2 minutes, it takes something like 1 hour of programming. It's not it's not so how to say still it's not so easy. But if we can have let's say large language model that is trained to do it, we can ask, we can explain what we want, we can throw the text there, and it can develop the code which we can incorporate in the robot. So even the programming can be done in that way. And definitely the future is quite bright and quite fantastic. And even in ways we cannot imagine.
You know what? The ChatGPT conversation human-like, and then they attach it to robot. So then a lot of jobs can be disappeared because of the robot and then speaking just like a human. But what do you think about, when the internet came to us, the job disappeared, someone's job appear, and then smartphone come up our life, and the job disappear, and another job is produced. So in terms of that, the phenomenon, the ChatGPT is a negative side, the positive side coexist in terms of job opportunity and disappears. What do you think about that?
Well, thank you for this. You know that automation and the economic side of automation is very close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
What I can say is that ChatGPT, generative AI in general, and artificial intelligence and robotics and automation technologies, they have three types of effects on jobs. Substitution, enhancement, and transformation. Substitution means that ChatGPT or other types of technology, they replace humans. So previously the work was done by humans, now it will be done by automation. Second, this is enhancement or augmentation. It means that humans are still here, but they are more productive thanks to the technology, so they can do more things. And the third is transformation. It means that people are here, but they do the things in a different way. So practically, ChatGPT and generative AI will have all three effects simultaneously. For example, at one point, you will be able, let's say that you run a hotel, and previously you were currently you are dealing with an advertising agency to prepare the copy of your ads, to generate the photo, to generate the visuals and etc. But now you can do some of the things by yourself. So practically, this generative AI will have a substitution effect on the tasks that the advertising agency was doing. However, because you will not hire them, but you will do this by yourself. However, if you decide to anyway to use the services of the advertising agency can use generative AI in order to be more efficient, and practically part of the text and the photos, they will be generated by them, so by AI. So what will happen will that instead of, let's say, for them to spend, let's say, 2-3 days in order to prepare all the things for you, they will spend only 1 day, because the AI will prepare the draft versions, not the final versions, but the draft versions, and then the human employees, they will edit these in order to adjust them to the specific needs of the customer. So this will be the enhancement effect. But then you will also have the transformation effect. Things that still exist, but they are done in a different way. A classic example is when you use a room service delivery robot. You still have room service. You still have a human that needs to prepare the order, but it's not the human that delivers the food to the order to the room of the guest, of the hotel guest, but it is a robot that does this. So you still have the task, but the task is implemented in a different way through the use of technology. So practically, this is also going to happen with in the tourism industry. So if we use the same example, the marketing manager of the hotel, instead of looking at the ceiling and waiting for insights from the mothership of the aliens orbiting the Earth for inspiration, what to write and what to develop, you can use generative AI for ideas. And this is what Ines and we did with ChatGPT. We asked it to generate a menu based on the Harry Potter theme. And it provided fantastic idea.
Yes.
And this was published in the article in Tourism Review. So, you can see it is still there. You can, but you do the things in a different way. So here the transformation effect is, how to say, like a booster to the enhancement effect. So you do things in a better, you are more productive, not only because it increases the capacity of your work, but also it increases the quality of your work and the time that is saved. So it is because your work, the task you, the way you implement the tasks is transformed, is done in a different way. So
that's right. I very agree with the opinion. 3 ways. One is replacement, another is enhancement, the third is transformation process to another way. So like you know, here in Korea, we have a very trouble to make English perfectly, and people always are scary of using English and as an international language. And so after ChatGPT, people prefer to use ChatGPT for translating perfectly, and then like a product description, travel information, and travel advertisement in English, or tailored, you know, information for, you know, different culture or whatever. That is very productive, you know, helper. So I think ChatGPT is make the things faster, easier, and productive. Is true. But instead, so far, that kind of jobs actually human providing. So someone who is speaking English well, writing well, that's their job actually before. But now, probably the job is destructively disappeared because of ChatGPT. So
what I can say is that there is no such thing as my job, your job, etc. I'm a professor, I am a vice rector, I'm an editor-in-chief. That's nothing, and the researcher, and etc. This is nothing else but different tasks that we do, which are combined together, and which is named one job position, which happens that I take. So if people will need to improve their skills, if neither, so here we are, if the three of us in this meeting, if we do not improve our skills, probably not on a daily basis, but to put efforts in learning new things, be sure that in 2 years we will be out of touch with reality, and probably in 5 years we will be fired, because we will not be able to do our work properly. So the person that that can translate well from English, can write well academic things in English, then probably that person can use ChatGPT in order to improve his or her work, or also specialize in editing texts provided by that are translated by ChatGPT. Because let's be honest, ChatGPT and the software, they can translate a lot of text, but after that you need to provide the text will be grammatically correct, but you need to provide the context. You need to adapt the text according to the context.
Right.
For example, I will give you one example. I'm working on a project, and the colleagues from the Netherlands with whom we work, we are one big team. They used the software for the initial translation of the questionnaire, but then they provided these to us so that we can make some changes to not to rely on automated translation. The translation was excellent. It was 95% correct. But the other 5%, they needed to be adjusted, not because it was not grammatically correct. It was grammatically correct. It was perfect. But you need to adjust it in order to, because you need to consider who will be the respondents, to adjust it to the cultural context.
Yes.
And because we know the Bulgarian respondents, we know how much time they will spend completing the questionnaire. We know which parts of the questionnaire they will look at, whether they will read and how much they will read. So emphasizing different things. So this is the creative part, the cultural context, which ChatGPT and other software will be able to provide, but cannot do it now.
Yes.
So
I agree with that.
Don't worry about jobs. Don't worry about jobs. Many jobs will be wiped out. Many tasks will be reallocated. New tasks will be created. Probably that person that you mentioned about AI, about the English translations, that person can work as a trainer of AI. So I don't see a problem on this.
Okay, I see. Dr. Joe, she is staying in France, Paris, for a while. So as a French perspective, what do you think about this new ChatGPT and technology and trend if you are in France?
Oh, yes. As Professor Buali said that Italy has become the first country to block the advanced chatbot ChatGPT. So I think France also may ban ChatGPT as well in the near future. But I think likewise, it's not sufficiently regulated, and people are not protected enough from the harm. So I think we need to think about more about the regulation or the problematic issues. GTP, yes. So yes, we need to be very careful.
Very careful. But
Yes.
you know, every the ChatGPT is already go spread out, and even if you blocked, the government blocked, the students they will use their for the homework, and employee will use for their employee work and their task. So even if they are not allowed to use in France or ban, it's not possible to ban totally. Instead, I think is already the war between the America and China. They are always try to read this kind of a new trend, and then they occupy the world by their technology. So China banned ChatGPT in their mainland China. That is because of the sensitive information, like a Tiananmen scare, something like that, and they are also try to catch up the ChatGPT technology in their version. We are not the China and Chinese people, but Stan, China, they're huge land, a huge population, and I think they dream of something this technology-driven, society. So that's why they blocked the Gmail, blocked the Facebook, blocked YouTube, and then they invented their own Chinese character and Chinese style something. But what do you think about this new, AI, like a ChatGPT? They also try to make another one, Chinese one.
Well, many of these decisions, they are practically politically driven for a desire for control rather than, and also economically driven rather than other reasons. Of course, the Chinese block American software, Americans block Chinese software. So this is the so-called game game of algorithms. So so this is always politically driven, because in Google, because Google does, well, it censors as we see, it adjusts the content to the results according to the local context. But you know, when we have large countries with one-party system, then you have different motivation why one company, why one application should be used or not. But I would prefer not to enter into political discussion, because definitely if you ask the Chinese officials, they will tell you a different story.
Okay.
What I can say is that I don't see a problem of using different AIs. So there will be different companies. ChatGPT is one of the many that will be there. It is just the next step of evolution. Okay. They will train each other. They will fight each other. I sent you a link, by the way, in the chat, which is a paper of mine about AI to AI marketing, where I argue that it will be artificial intelligence selling to artificial intelligence, and we need to adjust to this. It will not be humans to humans. Okay. This is the next step of economy. It is not that AI will tell us what we need to do. No, AI sellers AI will tell our AI as buyers to buy. But what I see here, two questions, 12 and 13, yes, which I would like to address. Yes. First, about the students, and then we'll go back to research. Regarding students, I know that many universities, they are banning the use of ChatGPT, etc. In our university, we allowed ChatGPT to be used for two modules. Both of them, I'm the module leader. One is in the research methods, research and statistics, and the other one is technologies in tourism and hospitality. Students are allowed to use this for their assignments. But the only thing they need to do is to acknowledge that they have used it in the acknowledgements or the methodology section. If they do not acknowledge this and they use it, they fail. But if they acknowledge, no problem. It will be marked. My logic is that first, we cannot ban something without having data. We need to have an informed decision, data-driven decision, rather than emotional one or based on prejudices or assumptions. Because we are part of a real world, part of education management, not part of a religious institution. So this is first, after this experiment, which will end next month when students submit their assignments, we will make a decision what to do next. However, from my perspective, this is not using ChatGPT in education for students to write the assignments. This is not a problem. Absolutely not a problem, because it's ChatGPT is more than a calculator. But we already use different tools. We use tools for translations. We use tools for proofreading. We use tools for generating content. I see here adding ghostwriter. So it is another thing that will, another application, and there are many applications which you can do to generate ideas, to polish the content, and etc. So, yeah, ChatGPT is helping a lot, but it's a tool, sophisticated, but a tool. So I don't see a problem. Universities, what they will need to do is to adapt to this, not to write essays. Students should not write essays. For example, I never give students to write essays, because this is quite, how to say, general. It's generic work. Write an essay about how technologies will disrupt the tourism industry. That's generic. You can have this as an exam question for students in year one in the university, but to have it as an assignment, that's too how to say basic. What we give students is that they need to either work on a specific case, and they are given some data and they need to work on it and give relevant recommendations, or they need to formulate a problem, collect the data, analyze the data, and give something specific. So all the assignments, they're specific. Exam questions, they're specific. And this is something that generative AI, at least for the moment, cannot deal. Later on, probably when ChatGPT and other generative AI applications improve, we will adapt to this as well. But we are allowing students to use and generate content.
Stan, you're
Yes.
the editor of the European Journal of Travel Research, and editor means it's a check up the plagiarism and measuring the kind of copy and paste and idea copy or whatever. So due to the ChatGPT, I'm very comfortable with writing the journal, even journal paper. I don't copy and paste. I use it for my purpose. So, but as an editor, what do you think about the ChatGPT for journal?
Yeah, I do not have a problem. So the first for the my editorial for the first issue of Robonomics journal, the Journal of the Automated Economy, which I also edit, which was published in March 2021. So this was more than 2 years ago. I generated part of the text with generative AI. It was 2 years before ChatGPT. ChatGPT didn't exist even at that time. And I generated one whole page from the editorial using AI. And of course, I acknowledge this in the text, just to show how AI is doing. I don't have a problem with this. I already wrote 2 articles with ChatGPT when of course, the text by ChatGPT included the prompt and the answers. They were included as screenshots in the article. The rest of the text was generated by me. So it was not generated by AI.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem with this. As long as first, ChatGPT is not a co-author, but it is only the humans that are authors of this one. Second, as long as the authors take full responsibility about the content, about the answers that are included, it will be as if they provided the answer. So if ChatGPT plagiarized, if ChatGPT provided wrong answers, wrong analysis, wrong calculations, something wrong, it is not ChatGPT's fault, it is the author's fault, because they need to check. However, we all use statistical software. We use, let's say, SPSS. Now, the question is, do we trust the results that SPSS gives us, or Smart POS, or any other software? We trust. We don't check. We just copy-paste these tables, we edit them, we simplify them, and then we present the findings. But we don't recalculate the coefficients. We don't recalculate the p-values by ourselves, by hand. We trust the software. This is exactly here. But we take full responsibility for the article if there is something wrong. However, authors need to acknowledge this. As this is the same way as we acknowledge the software that we use. In medical sciences, in biology, they mention what equipment was used, what were the medicines that were used, what are the reactives, they are the substances that they used for this or that, so that if there is something wrong, then they can trace, they can track where the problem exactly is, whether it is with the human, whether it is with the procedures, whether it is with the equipment. So probably we need to incorporate this in social science. Like a checklist.
One last question. You know what? The ChatGPT suddenly emerged to our world, societies, business, whatever, to all of the world, just like COVID-19 emerged and then suddenly disappeared. And then the topics in journal paper, the COVID-19 no longer effective, no longer fascinating, is gone. And now is the time to do research ChatGPT in tourism context. What do you think about the kind of big trend there, up and down, up and down? Then how individual researcher have to choose their research domains? If you're the editor of the journal, so probably give us a lot of the good idea. Is it time to go with the ChatGPT and just leave behind everything? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. This is a great question. Practically, ChatGPT is the new COVID in terms of research.
Okay.
COVID exploded, and then nobody writes about COVID.
Yes.
But papers were easily accepted. Many desk acceptances in March, April, May 2020. Especially in journals which now boast that they have a very high impact factor. But this high impact factor was nothing else but quick acceptances, desk acceptances, and at the early stage of the pandemic. When the pandemic was over, the number of citations of these articles will decrease, and this will go also with the impact factors of these journals. What I would say is that ChatGPT topic is one very small peak in the it is a small peak in the generative AI wave, which is a small peak in the AI and robotics wave, which is one wave which is one small wave within the general things about technologies. So I would say that what we need to do is, well, I wouldn't say small waves, they are practically big waves, each of these. I would say that if someone wants to research about ChatGPT, the person will need to frame the research in the context of generative AI. And because this will be a bit more lasting, because ChatGPT is now, but in 6 months, there will be probably 5 other GPTs that will be there. Generative generative AI applications. And so instead of only ChatGPT, we will write about many things. So focus on generative AI and focus on the bigger picture, as Dimitrios mentioned. He's very wise in his words when he says, don't focus on something which is in 3 months will disappear. Will not disappear, but it will change in 3 months. But focus on something that is here to stay, like generative AI, but also look at the bigger picture. That's why for nearly 10 years, I'm dealing with automation. And automation is not only generative, you see, ChatGPT is small, you have generative AI, you have AI, you have automation technologies, you have technologies in general. So, yeah, this is focus on the bigger picture.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Joe, one last question. Do you have any the intriguing question for him about this?
Yes. Today I just found that the keywords like from Professor Buhalis, not from you, I'm sorry, but from keyword from Professor Buhalis was like who control tools and which way. And I think that this is very important questions. There may be people who control these tools, and which way it is, we need to think about it. So I would like to know your answer about this question.
Stan, you control the world, and in some part, you know, because if I'm writing a paper about the robot and automation, and I submitting to IJHM or ATR, JTR, the paper goes to him because his section and this area. So he controls.
Oh, it's not like this.
Anyway,
It's, yeah, it's. I am a good editor,
it's a
a
kidding.
gate opener, as we say, rather than gatekeeper.
Okay, it's kidding. But anyway, the sentence that the AI will not replace the human staff, but the human will replace a job who can control the AI. So means human control or human replace the job who can control that AI. So this is all about the human and human.
Yeah, I would say that it will be humans using AI will replace humans that do not use AI.
That's right.
So if you want not to be replaced by other lecturers and researchers, please use AI.
Yes, right.
This will improve your employability,
It's a
productivity,
very
and
critical sentence. Dr. Joe, you have to note the study of the sentence
Yes.
keyword is quotation. Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm
Humans
already
with AI
using
will, humans with
ChatGPT.
AI will replace humans without AI. They do not use
Oh
AI.
yes,
This is what is going to happen. Of course, AI will replace many other things. That's for sure. But the core will be this one.
Okay, right.
And humans will still be around, and humans will still do many things. But
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Stan. Thank you very much for your time and contribution to our journal. It'll be definitely timely, necessity, and important to discuss. And your name is so branded. So I want writing a paper with Dr. Joe and your name, and then publishing to Journal of Smart Tourism in time, the next 2 months.
yeah,
And then I'm going to share this video on YouTube.
yeah. Please edit the video with the stupid jokes that I made from time to time.
No, it's not a stupid joke. It's a wise and intelligent joke. Okay, thank you. And I'm going to give us some little honorarium to you, but it'll be take time because it's through the school. So I will let you know the about the information. Anyway, thank you very much for your dedication, and I'm look forward to see you face to face. No more Zoom.
Yeah. Face to face is nice.
Okay.
Robots work, we travel.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
아유, 수고 많으셨습니다.
예, 고생하셨습니다. 이거 보내드릴게요.
네.